Joining me now, Fox News contributor and Heritage Foundation visiting fellow Kiron Skinner. Kiron, thanks for joining us. Iran has carried out 11 attacks in 2 months on bases and facilities with U.S. contractors and U.S. service members. So obviously they are provoking us. What do you expect their retaliation to this latest attack, our airstrikes, to be?
Well, the organization, the terrorist group called Kateb Hezbollah, known as KH, has declared that it will retaliate. It hasn't said exactly what it will do. We know that KH is an arm of the Iranians. It has a close tie to the Quds Force, the paramilitary organization in Iran, and it receives lethal aid from Iran. So this is Iran once again using third parties to attack the United States and the West. It's not clear exactly what that retaliation will look like, but you just played the clip of the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense speaking in very clear terms that the U.S. will do whatever it has to do if this is ratcheted up.
Do you sense that Iran will test the resolve of President Trump, especially as we head into an election year, which would force him to respond more forcefully than he has in the past?
I'm not sure about that. It's not in the interest of Iran to do so. Iran and North Korea have very similar problems. Under Donald Trump, they've been further isolated in the international system because the U.S. president has emphasized the fact that they are menacing not just their region, not just U.S. interest, but the entire globe. And in that way, I think Iran understands more attacks will only make it isolated beyond a point. I think that it can't survive.
Let's turn to Afghanistan, Kiron. The Taliban yesterday agreeing to a temporary ceasefire that leaves the door open for a potential peace deal with the United States. We have roughly 12,000 troops in the region. The White House has not yet commented on all of this, but do you trust a peace deal?
These peace deals, as you know, since September, or really the past year and a half, when we appointed a special envoy, have been going back and forth, and they stop, often because the U.S. recognizes that the Taliban is not acting in good faith, and the president said only months ago that the peace process was dead. But it seems as if there's an opportunity here if the Taliban decides to really act in better faith. But it's a big lift because not only is a ceasefire important for President Trump, he's said that that is a precondition for moving forward, but for a U.S. Taliban peace deal to be concluded, there has to be quick movement in the wake of that deal on both sides of the Afghan fight, that they will be in direct talks at the table, and issues like free speech and a revised constitution must be immediately addressed. This is a very tough process, but I think we're moving forward.
Hi, Kiron. Kelly Torrance here. You know, just today we learned that after declaring the ceasefire, the Taliban actually killed 14, at least, the death toll could rise, Afghan forces in northern Afghanistan. Is there any reason we should trust them and think we can ever get a peace deal with a group that, by the way, doesn't actually believe in elections? I think there's a lot of problems. I'm interested in hearing what you have to say.
Yes, I agree with your sentiments, but we don't have a choice. And we have to work with the Taliban. And that's why President Trump has been so committed to a ceasefire, followed by a peace deal, followed by serious negotiations with the relevant parties to create a new Afghanistan. This is not, a group that we could say is Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, but it's the group that we have, and we have to find a way forward with the Afghanistan that we face. 18 years in this country, we've got to find a way out that is consistent with the work that we did in defense of freedom over almost 2 decades.
That war going on for longer than some of our service members are alive. Kiron Skinner, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
All right, coming up.